여러분 반갑습니다. I'm Kwon-soa and this is K-Culture Dive. Join us in taking a deep dive into the heart of Korean culture, from K-entertainment to AI news, on-field reports, and an in-depth look at Korea's film industry. And with that, let's dive in. Joining us on today's show is Walter Lee. Walter, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Soa, and hello to everyone joining us on K-Culture Dive today. I'm Walter Lee, here to co-host alongside Soa, and of course bring you the latest in K-entertainment stories.
Okay, Walter, we are going to cover this and that in K-Enter today, and that's literally this and that. This and that.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for that, Soa. So, Stray Kids released a new mini album. Guess what it's called? This and That. So on Friday, marking their first album in roughly 9 months. Now, their previous release, Do It, or SKZ It Tape, released last November, earned the group their 8th consecutive #1 on the US Billboard 200. They will now be hoping that This and That can extend that run to 9. Now, the title track, also called This and That, is a hip-hop based song that reflects the group's chill and cool vibe. Now, Stray Kids' in-house production team, made up of 3 rapcha, Bangchan, Changbin and Han, also participated in writing and composing the new title track. They actually do quite a lot of that. Now, the boys recently kicked off their latest world tour, Run It, with 5 sold-out concerts in Seoul. Later this month, they're scheduled to hold concerts at Tokyo's National Stadium, becoming the first international male act in history to stage a standalone concert at the venue.
All right, and next up, Walter,
Yes.
you have a brief insight on what an entertainment company believes made K-pop so big around the world. Tell us more.
At least helped in a way. So, like on Thursday, YG Entertainment stated that 69 performance videos featuring YG artists like Blackpink and Baby Monster have surpassed a combined of 7 billion views on YouTube. Now, you see, the genre of K-pop is not just known for its songs, obviously, the visual appeal of the group, official music videos, etc., but also for what's called performance videos, meaning an artist or group executing a dance routine. You've seen those dance sort of like follow-alongs, instrumental playing, or of course the live singing of the group themselves. Now, let's take Blackpink for instance. They have actively released both group and solo performance videos alongside their visually striking music videos since their debut in 2016. Now, according to YG, such content has played a significant role in helping the members rise to the massive global stardom that they have. Now, just Blackpink's performance videos and music videos alone have attracted hundreds of millions of views per video, while the group's official YouTube channel has surpassed 100 million subscribers.
All right, and finally, we turn to an animated film that's based on an award-winning book that actually left a really big impression on me. I read it just last year.
Yes, indeed, we are. So, South Korean distributor Fine Cut announced this week that the animated film Long Long Night, or King Kin Bam, will make its world premiere in the centerpiece section of the 51st Toronto International Film Festival, or TIFF, this September. Now, it's the first time in 13 years that a Korean feature-length animated film has been invited to the TIFF following The Fake, or Saibi, in 2013. So, Long Long Night is based on Korean author and illustrator Lee Ruri best-selling novel of the same name. Now, the story follows Nodun, the last remaining white rhinoceros on Earth, and a young penguin born from an abandoned egg. Both come to depend on one another as the story explores the meaning of friendship, love, and solidarity. Festival screening details and film's theatrical release schedule in South Korea will be announced at a later date.
Can't wait for that. I mean, this book had also been made into a musical, and if people get to watch the film, I hope everyone gets to know the story well and also read the book. I'm just keeping saying this because it was actually one of my favorite books that I read last year.
Yes, and the animations already look fantastic.
Super excited for that. And thank you, Walter, for those updates, and stick around.
Will do.
All right, and now it's time to go over to our AI anchor Arang for more on the culture front. Arang.
Thanks, Swa. Here's your AI guide to the latest cultural headlines from Korea. Let's begin with our top story. The government is offering additional discounts to encourage people to enjoy cultural performances. The Culture Ministry and the Arts Council Korea will distribute 160,000 discount vouchers worth 10,000 won, or around $7 each for performance tickets starting September 1st. This follows the release of 240,000 discount vouchers distributed in May, as part of efforts to boost public access to the arts and revitalize the performance sector. Each applicant can claim up to 2 vouchers through platforms including Naver Reservation, Time Ticket, and Ticket Link. As extreme heat continues to grip the Korean peninsula, the music industry is rolling out additional safety measures for summer concerts. Organizers of Waterbomb, one of Korea's biggest summer music festivals, announced heat safety guidelines on its official social media channels ahead of its Busan event set for this Saturday. In a rare move for a ticketed event, Waterbomb is also allowing concert-goers to re-enter the venue after leaving to cool down or take a break. YG Entertainment, which is hosting Big Bang's World Tour concerts beginning August 21st, said it will set up designated rest areas at concert halls for attendees and have ambulances stationed on site throughout the event. Jeju Orle Trail is expanding its Walking Mate program, which pairs foreign visitors with local volunteer guides. Launched in 2023, the program matches international travelers with volunteers who speak English, Chinese, Japanese, and other languages to introduce Jeju's nature, history, and culture while hiking the Orle trails. Previously offered only on selected routes, the program will be expanded to all 27 Jeju Orle trail courses until the year end. To improve accessibility for overseas visitors, information and registration will also be made available through the Orle Pass mobile app. More than 1,774 visitors completed the 100-kilometer Jeju Orle Trail in the first half of this year, more than double the figure from the same period last year. That's all from me. Turning now to a quick look at more K-culture stories making headlines today.
Buddhist culture is getting a modern makeover at an expo in the southern city of Busan, where visitors can experience centuries-old traditions through art, food, meditation, and even live performances. Our Park Chae-ryung takes us around.
Visitors take a closer look at each piece of Buddhist art. Their faces light up with admiration as they take in the fine craftsmanship. Nearby, the iconic contemplative Buddha statue is reimagined using unexpected textures and vibrant colors, while core teachings take shape as playful merchandise. Together, these displays show how Buddhism is reinventing itself for a younger, broader audience.
The meditation helped me gain some insight and feel more at ease, and making the food myself was fun.
I came to this expo because Buddhist expos these days offer a lot of merchandise aimed at younger people.
At the food section, visitors can explore colorful varieties of temple food and sip tea made from lotus leaves. They are also encouraged to try and make the dishes themselves. Here, visitors are not just tasting temple food. They're preparing it themselves, turning tradition into a hands-on experience. Music added another layer to the lively atmosphere. The gentle hum of singing bowls echoed across the hall, while custom wooden percussion instruments allowed visitors to play familiar melodies. One foreign professor attending the event highlighted how modern expos like this serve as a vital bridge, introducing Korean Buddhism and its traditions to a wider global audience.
And I think a lot of international people are interested in Buddhism. It's kind of a novelty to the Western mind. So I think that a lot of foreigners that come to Korea, they're seeking something different. They're seeking something authentic.
It is only the first day, but we have already seen a lot of visitors. I believe Buddhist expos will continue to become trendier and attract an increasingly younger audience.
By blending age-old traditions with contemporary art, culinary experiences, and everyday lifestyle products, the Busan International Buddhism Expo is making Korean Buddhist culture far more accessible to a growing global audience. Park Chae-ryung, Arirang News, Busan.
Does this creamy soup look like milk? Think again. It's actually soybean broth, made by finely grinding soybeans into a smooth, velvety liquid. Served ice-cold with noodles, it's a summer staple Koreans crave during the hottest weeks of the year. Its name is Kongguksu, literally meaning noodles in soybean broth. Making it takes a full day. Dried soybeans are soaked overnight until they swell to twice their size. Then they are boiled, ground, and strained. The skins and solids are left behind. What remains is silky, white, and rich. Chilled and poured over noodles, it becomes kongguksu. More than a century ago, a Korean cookbook recorded nearly the same process. The only difference? Back then, people ground the beans by hand with a heavy stone mill. Today, machines do the work, but the tradition remains unchanged. So why soybeans? Korea's summers have always been unforgiving. When the heat drained people's strength, meat was the best source of energy. But centuries ago, meat was a luxury for most families. Soybeans became the answer. They grew in abundance, lasted through the winter, and packed nearly as much protein as meat. It's no wonder Koreans still call them the beef from the fields. Some add salt, others add sugar. Every summer, Koreans debate which version is the right way to enjoy kongguksu. But there is no answer. The best bowl is simply the one that suits your taste. Born out of necessity, kongguksu has become something much greater. It is no longer a substitute for meat, but a cherished summer tradition. In one humble bowl made from a simple bean lies centuries of Korean wisdom. The knowledge of how to turn hardship into comfort, and how to survive even the fiercest heat with a little ingenuity.
Korean cinema showed promising signs of recovery so far this year, with several box office hits attracting audiences back to the theaters. But despite those successes, the industry still faces significant challenges. Today, we'll take a closer look at the survival strategies Korean filmmakers are exploring, from reducing production costs to using AI and rethinking release windows. For that, we're joined by Jae So, filmmaker and professor at Seoul Institute of the Arts. Welcome back, Professor So.
Hello, nice to be back.
All right, Professor, so we keep talking about the great figures at the domestic box office when it comes to movies like Hope recently and also The King's Warden at the beginning of the year, but yet we are still facing challenges, I hear. So could you tell us more about those?
Well, actually this year, just on the face of it, we've gone back to about 94% of pre-pandemic levels of audience participation. As you mentioned, the three films, so it'd be King's Warden, which topped out at around 60 million people, $114 million in revenue, and then we have Colony, which also came out around 42 million, and then 살목지, the Whispering Water, came out at $23 million in the box office. So, you know, these three films have actually taken over the whole thing, and it looks really healthy. But the problem is that, you know, the mid-sized films, like the little films that have, like, you know, not maybe a big star behind it, is still kind of struggling at the box office. So, you know, maybe this year is a good year because we had these big hits, but I don't know if every year we're going to have the same thing. So again, it's going to be, you know, audience participation coming to the theaters, which is slowly growing with social media and everything. But at the same time, I think, you know, the government, we're going to talk about policies and things like that will actually help to have more people come to the theaters, and especially because it's so hot right now. You know, come see a movie and it'll cool you off for sure. Yeah.
Right. And let's talk about solutions. Now, one proposed solution is actually, interestingly, decreasing the stars or actors' salary, especially with government-funded projects or movies. Now, they're looking to make it only 10% of the movie production for the salaries for the actors. Now, like, do you think reducing stars or actors' salaries can make a meaningful difference?
Well, right now, the government, with KOFIC, which is the Korean Film Council, they're in talks with companies like BH Entertainment, Management, Scoop. But these are talking about like sort of mid-size, mid-level, like lower budget movies that want to cap it at 10%. But most movies, the star power, what you need to pay is around 18 to 19% of the budget, which is a huge chunk of it. So it'll help to do this. The president of KOFIC, who was a professor at my school at Seoul Institute of the Arts, he also said that the mid-level size film, mid-budgeted size films are sort of the backbone of Korean cinema. So it's a good sign, but at the same time, this private council that they formed with sort of agencies, producers, distributors with the government, they're constantly talking about trying to do this. And it's not necessarily the fact that the stars will actually overcharge the companies to make the movies. They do want to help the film industry. I know a lot of stars will take a pay cut to do that, but at the same time, everybody wants profits, right? So, the actual, you want, like when there's, an OTT series that's going to pay a higher, salary for you, you're definitely going to probably take that as a precedent over small budget films. But I think right now they're in talks. I think it's a healthy sign, and we'll constantly have to kind of tweak with the laws to make this happen. For sure, yeah.
And I guess it's also not legally binding. That's why we will have to see.
Yes, it's voluntary present, but we're going to look at what's going to happen with this situation and try to make it a law as well.
Right. Yeah. And speaking of voluntary, there is also talks about a voluntary agreement regarding the holdback policy, which basically means that it's going to be a rule where you wait a certain period after you release a movie in the theaters before it comes out on OTT streaming platforms. So what's the important focus there?
Well, as you mentioned, basically holdback means the gap between the final release date of when the movie is finishing and then basically going to OTT or Netflix or Disney Plus or Korean OTTs. But the problem is the theaters are really worried because a lot of times a film might not make its break-even point, which is basically make its money back of what they put in. And the only way they can guarantee that is if they have a kind of a low sort of audience numbers in terms of the theaters, they make it up by basically selling it to Netflix or any of the OTT platforms. And the problem is, like anything else, a lot of the films are finding that it's easier to, if they don't make the money back theatrically, to quickly go into OTT. And that makes the theaters really nervous because it means that knowing that they'll switch over to a platform, it'll make audiences go, hey, I'll just wait a little bit and pay less to go see the same thing on my OTT platform that I'm used to. So the holdback policy is actually something where we're examining it right now, the government, everybody, but at the same time, everybody has their sort of preferences for it. Theater owners want a longer thing, but at the same time, the people that make the movies, they have to recoup their money back. And in order to do that, they have to sell it to the OTTs as fast as possible. So they're trying to, find out, what's sort of like the medium point for it. And I think, again, these private councils, there's a lot of talks with the Ministry of Culture, and they're trying to find a solution for this.
Yeah, it really isn't like the old days when, I guess, like, we had to wait for it to come out in video, and sometimes that was like 4 or 5 months.
Right.
Like the younger generation will not know about that.
What is that videotape?
yeah, we had to wait for the tape, and it took usually, quite a long time. But now we're seeing a lot of Korean films actually, like you said, like come out on streaming platforms or OTT services. Like only 2 months. Really, like you said, it's not that long to wait. But it can be debated whether it actually helps or hurts the Korean film industry. What do you think?
Well, I'll take, for example, a movie called Human, which is a really great movie, Ryu Seung-won, starring Cho In-sung, and a lot of stars in it. That movie cost a lot of money. The production budget for it was really high because it was a spy thriller shot, in Russia and Europe and all these things. But it only did about 1.9 million at the box office, so it didn't make the break-even point to make the money back theatrically. So they ended up releasing on Netflix, and it became like a #1 global hit on Netflix. And the reason for that is because it had just come out. They only spent 2 months in the theater, and they released it. So, that's a case where, theater owners are like, hey, we could have had it maybe in the theaters a little longer, but at the same time, it had a lot of competition at that time. Another movie would be Wild Sings as well, which big hit, with all the sort of the promotion, with the music videos, you know, things like that. But it didn't make the kind of money it wanted to make in the theater. So it's launching on the sites, and it has a resurrection happening where people are going to see it because of the music, you know, and things like that. So again, it's a weird situation where the production companies that make the films want that option, as you said, like video. In the past, the video rights was actually like a huge way to make money. And now their only option is to sell it to a lot of the OTT platforms. And so the question is like, what is the holdback, you know, period going to be? Is it going to be quick, or do we have to put a law in place that protects, you know, the theaters from, you know, basically losing all its audiences to OTT platforms as well?
Human is actually the one that I watched on OTT, and the reason was because back then we had The King's Warden also in the theaters, so then you have audiences kind of choose which one to go to watch in the theaters and which ones they're going to watch at home. So I think that is going to be an issue that we're going to discuss for a longer period. But Professor So, another emerging strategy is low-budget film production and the use of AI. And recently, the hit drama Kim Bujang, and the English title is Agent Kim Reactivated. This one had a around 3-minute sequence that was made entirely out of AI. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I saw it. It was really interesting. I thought it was really well done, except I think the North Korean, like, you know, I don't give the spoilers ahead, but there's a North Korean kind of character. I think it was completely AI generated, and he looked kind of fake to me. But at the same time, as you mentioned, it's a really effective way if you use it well. And some of the production companies are kind of not using 100% generated. What they'll do is they'll generate it with AI and they'll fix it in post. So that's what they're doing, and a lot of times they'll scan in, like, you know, So Ji-sup is the main star of this series. So basically, his face looks real. It doesn't look like it's generated by AI. So they probably had to scan his face, put it in there, things like that. And I heard that some of the action movements that he did was actually him using live action, basing that, and feeding the AI to follow that. So I think those are kind of more healthy aspects of using AI. I think the problem is if you use 100% AI, sometimes it looks really fake. At this point, for all the pros, it's not like YouTube. YouTube is like very low resolution, so you can get away with it. You know, a lot of stuff people are saying is, oh, look at what's happening on YouTube. But, you know, when you want to go up to 4K or a higher resolution, you know, the Odyssey is now shot on IMAX, things like that. You can't, I mean, you can generate it, but it costs a lot of money. But the, you know, Agent Kim, you know, that part of it was that they had used AI in a way to cut the cost, but it was also done in a creative way because they used, I think, hybrid forms where it was actually live action plus AI sort of combined together. And I have to say, the overall result was very nice. And also, it's a sequence that really shows you the background of the character in the thing. So without it, it would have been a lot more shallow, would I say. But it also caught, you know, I think they saved like 60% of the budget or something like that. If they used CG, it would have cost a lot more. So definitely an effective way to use it, but let's kind of use it more creatively than just let a machine do it, you know.
Yeah, I'd like to talk to you one day about the fact that actors are giving people licenses to, you know, recreate their face, and that really is an important part of AI, whether, you know, it's obviously only going to hurt the actor, in my opinion, but we don't have time for that. But more broadly, do you think using AI to improve production efficiency could become like a realistic breakthrough for the Korean film industry, at least?
Not just the Korean film industry, I think all film industries right now. Low-budget filmmaking is definitely going to take advantage of this. You know, we recently had a movie called, you know, Run to the West, 중간계, which was 100% AI generated with live action sort of put in. But at the same time, that was a test. And the results were kind of more disappointing, and the movie didn't do that well. But it really showed what was possible, what was not. And I think for low-budget filmmaking, I've seen instances where, you know, a lot of my students use AI. You know, they come to me, they show what they would have done if they had to go out. Well, a lot of times low-budget filmmaking is like, you don't have the money to actually shoot a whole sequence, like maybe a dream or something like that. So you'll use AI to generate those images. And it's not a way like you just let the machines do it. A lot of times they'll shoot parts of it in live action, and they'll sort of use it to kind of compile it together. So it's called compositing. And AI does it really beautiful. And some of the AI programs aren't like 100%, making it on themselves, but they'll rely on what the humans give you as a source to enhance the material, to make it much more, I would say, fantastic. And it looks good enough, right now. But I think to go 100% on AI we still have a long ways to go for that. And I also think we're talking about visuals, but also a lot of people are using it to write screenplays, which I kind of find it not a good idea right now. It's not nice to create something. It should be like your own IP, but as you know, all of AI uses everything on the internet, which is everybody else's. And the problem is they're not paying for your IP. So that's what I'm worried about.
Well, AI brings a lot of expectations, concerns. There is still so much we can experience with it. So I think we're going to expand on this again in the future, Professor So. And for now, thank you very much for your insights and have a great weekend.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
And thank you, Walter, as always. Have a great weekend and see you next week.
See you next week.
Thanks for watching and for your interest in everything K-Culture. K-Culture Dive will be back on Monday, 2 p.m. Korea time. Have a culture-filled weekend and keep diving.